Oh, look, we're live. Here we are. Starting a few minutes early because we want to make sure that it actually works this time. So if you're on and you're here, chat in that it works. Otherwise, I'm going to try to follow it on my phone and log on to the YouTube app to make sure that it's coming through. Because last time we had a really fun time, but no one was actually watching because we had some technology issues. Oh, hey, Pete, hey, it's working. So don't worry, Tiffany is coming. We're trying to get Natalie to go down for her last nap. The last nap of the day is always a little sketchy because sometimes she goes down for it and sometimes she doesn't. And it's usually only like 30 minutes long. And it's usually between like 3:30 and 4:30 or 5. So we're going to give it a shot. But if she doesn't fall asleep, you might hear a little bit of fussing in the background.
I think I'm giving up, actually.
All right. And here is Tiffany.
We're giving up. She's not going to sleep right now.
No sleep.
She's very awake and happy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's working. That makes me so happy.
Wow,
I was so
we have
worried.
people saying hello from Missouri. Hi from Portugal.
My sister
hello
lives
from
in Missouri.
Berlin in Germany.
Ooh.
Wow,
Wait,
that's so exciting.
Where were we in Germany?
We went to Munich.
Oh, that's right. That was really cool.
Yes, we'd love to go to Berlin sometimes. Oh, from Tennessee,
Ooh.
from Virginia.
Oh, I have relatives in Virginia Beach, in Chesapeake.
Yeah, ooh, from Michigan, Texas. Waco, Texas.
Waco,
oh.
Magnolia. I'm sure that's what everybody says to you now.
There's more.
There's more to Waco than just Magnolia.
Oh, there's someone from Colorado and
fun.
from Florida.
Help from Florida. I love it.
I think that's
hello. Sorry.
It's hello.
I misread
yeah.
it.
Ooh, Washburn, Tennessee. Ooh, from Holland, from London.
We're going to London.
Mm-hmm. In a week.
In a week from today, we leave.
Serbia.
So
someone from Chicago.
We were in Serbia.
Really
that was really fun, actually.
Oh, okay.
That was really fun.
So do we have a topic
Hello
today that we're
from
answering?
Mars.
Oh, that's funny.
That's awesome.
Maybe that's actually a place.
Oh wait, is Mars? You mean
no, I don't think so. I think someone's just
city
messing
called
with
Mars.
us.
We love you too. Namibia.
Oh.
Namibia. Sorry, I totally said that wrong. Clearly, I can read.
I was
I'm reading
homeschooled. I did
wrong.
used to say Nambia. I'm sorry.
Namibia. Okay.
I'm sorry,
Hi.
Larissa.
I'm
learning.
so glad you guys are all here. So we're just going to open it up to Q&A, and you can just kind of ask us anything, and we're going to answer as many questions as we can in the next half hour. And so, yeah, hit us with your questions.
Yeah.
And we'll just talk.
Look how enraptured Natalie is. We don't usually let her look at screens.
Yeah.
So now that she's sitting on our lap and looking at the screen.
She was enraptured.
Yeah. She might get bored, though.
Grab it? Yeah.
Oh, my.
Do you want to grab it?
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Can you wave?
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, yeah. What do you think about being gay? Whoa, that's jumping right in. Yeah, we actually have a whole video on this. This is a topic that I think it's just so deep and so personal and something that, I never want to like take that question lightly. So I have a whole video on that called Am I Gay? By Tiffany Dawn, Christian Girl Talk. That's like the name of it. And I'll put the link in. I don't know how to put the link in while I'm live, but later I can put the link in and you can check it out, and that talks all about it. So I hope that can help you.
Okay.
Where are we originally from? We actually both live 2 miles from where we were both born and raised. Ironically, I'm clearly looking in the wrong place because my eyes are like not there.
We're up there.
Okay.
We're up there. Yeah. About our hometown is about 3 hours north of New York City in New York State.
It's actually the capital of New York, Albany, which the capital is actually not New York City. Who knew that? How does it feel to be a mother? It's so many emotions.
I don't think I can answer that.
Really? It's amazing. And it's like the most amazing thing I've done, and it's the hardest thing I've done. And I love Natalie so much. Some days being a mom is really hard, and some days it's amazing. But I feel like I'm learning so much about, not to sound like cliche and super spiritual or whatever, but like I'm learning so much about how God sees us through motherhood. Because when you become a parent, it like opens up this new realm of love that you never knew before or could really experience until you'd been there. And it's been amazing. So yeah, that's been really cool.
Yeah. Someone asked if we met in ministry or serving God. Is there a video on that?
Oh, there is a video called How We Met. It tells the whole story. We met when he was born because I'm older. And our parents took a birth class together, actually. Our moms did. We've known each other our whole lives. But we lost touch for a while and then reconnected, and there was no chemistry.
It's all in the video.
It's all in the video, so you can check that out.
It's a good one.
Okay, so let me scroll back up. Okay.
Ooh, let's see.
Yes.
Ooh, advice for a couple who is trying to abstain from sex but keeps slipping.
Ooh, that's a good question.
That is.
We get that a lot, actually.
Yeah. So if that's for a friend or if it's personal, you're not alone.
The first thing I would say is that the fact that I actually been wanting to do a video on this, but I've been trying to figure out what exactly I want to say. So the first thing I would say, though, is the fact that there's that tension there of like, I'm really attracted to this person, but I really want to honor God. And I'm like in that state of tension. I hope this makes sense. I think that's a good place to be, because that shows that you're not just like throwing in the towel, like, well, I'm just giving up, You're like, I'm really working to honor God in every part of my life. And I believe this is how I do that. And so I think, and I'm attracted to the person. You want to be attracted to the person. You want it to be a little difficult to keep your hands off each other if you're in a serious relationship. Like I hope that doesn't sound really weird and awkward, but like,
no, I think that's
like,
true.
Oh my gosh. But just to like, that's a good place to be. That tension. I feel like that's a good place to be.
Yeah. I think you need to I think that's very true. I would say, as a more practical tip, you have to think about where it is that you're having sex and like location wise, and think about how you cannot end up in that situation.
Yeah.
In other words, you're not going to have sex at a restaurant.
We hope not.
Not like hanging out with your family, not at church. So not at the library. So like it's a lot of times it's, we were watching a movie at my house late at night and no one else was there.
Yeah.
Because in the moment it's really hard to stop. But if you can stop yourself like 4 steps back and be like, in an effort to abstain from sex, we're no longer going to watch movies after 9 p.m. or something like that. Whatever it is for you.
And know like the circumstance and the place.
Yeah.
And try to like plan ahead, plan for success. Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. Okay. I like that. What is the best way to evangelize? Okay, so I actually have a video on this. I think it's like how to share Jesus, tell people about Jesus or something like that. But the biggest thing I would say is, I think when you are, this is my personal pet peeve. I think if you're like trying to befriend someone for the sake of evangelizing, I think that's like a huge turnoff. And it's still like not the way God loves us. Like to think about, how does God love me? It's like unconditional, whether or not I ever come to know him, he loves me like crazy. And so I think if we can like in our friendships, like really show that kind of love, I think sometimes as Christians, we can get kind of preoccupied with like, I have to say something right now. I'm going
to put her in her bouncer.
We'll see if she wants to go there. Yeah. Like I have to, how do I explain this? Like we can feel like it's almost like you have to do a certain amount of evangelizing to like be a good Christian or something. We almost think that way. And I think instead, if we can focus on showing God's love, and then I think situations will naturally arise, and you can even ask God to have those arise, like where someone asks you a question about your faith or whatever. Like for most of my friends who don't know the Lord, like they know I love them and I'm not their friend just to make them be a Christian. I genuinely love them. And then they'll ask me about my faith and I'll get to pray with them or talk with them. And some of them have come to know the Lord. And that's been really cool because that's like the most amazing thing in my life. And so I love to share that. But I try not to do it in like a preachy way. I don't know that. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think I would say pray first for the person, pray for them regularly, and look for opportunities to love them.
Yeah.
And I think because we're conduits of Jesus's love. And so we want to pray, and each person is in a different place. You don't necessarily know where a person is, but if you're praying for them, God will will open your eyes to the best way to show his love to them.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
A video on infertility. That is really tough. We were just with some friends last night who struggled with that for like how many years?
10 years, I want to say.
10 years?
They finally had a baby, which is so beautiful. But oh man, that is so hard. Oh man.
Yeah, our heart goes out to you. That's so tough.
That is so tough. I don't even know if I could do it justice just because like we struggled with miscarriage and I have a video about that. But because I haven't struggled with infertility personally, I feel like I couldn't even do justice because that's so painful and so like deeply personal. And but I just wish I could give you a hug and just let you know that you're so loved. And So, okay.
Ooh, I like this one. How to become friends with guys when it feels like you've been raised to avoid them in the
That's
church.
so
And only
true.
imagine them in a relationship mindset. That is so well said.
I was so like that.
I think step one is realizing that you have that mindset.
True.
Because I personally was in denial for quite some time. But yeah,
Yeah.
step one is realization. And then you're just going to have to embrace that it's going to be a little awkward at first as you start to develop normal relationships,
Like
friendships, and
friendships.
interactions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
With people of the opposite sex.
You gotta practice.
Yeah.
And sometimes going out in groups with people is a great way to practice, like before you get to like the one-on-one side, and just finding people you're comfortable around.
And just reminding yourself, I'm not looking for a spouse. Not looking for a spouse. Not
Try to
looking
be
for a
friends.
spouse. I'm just trying to hone my friendship skills.
Yeah. And I do have 2 videos you might like. One is how to be friends with guys, and one is how to stop turning every guy into a Mr. Maybe. Those are just things that help me personally, but that's a big thing. I was definitely with you. So let's see. How do you feel about gay marriage? We actually talked about that at the beginning. We have a video all about it's called Am I Gay? That is kind of goes into all of this. So I hope that can encourage you.
Let's see. Ooh, what are your thoughts on parents' roles in adult children? Oh, let's scroll up.
I suddenly got way down and now I can't find it.
Oh yeah. Up there we go.
Okay.
Thoughts on parents' role in adult children's dating relationship. How important or not approval is their approval?
Ooh.
So Laura, maybe you can tell us how old are you? Because I think that will.
What is an adult relationship?
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more, because I think that will.
I think if you're in your 20s. Okay. Well, first of all, let me say, it's so important to have someone in your life who you really trust, who's older and wiser than you, who's speaking into your relationship. For some people, their parents will be one of those people who's speaking in the relationship, and for some, they won't. We have friends who their parents and their family relationship is just very, very broken. And so having their parents' approval, it's not going to be there. And it's not going to be helpful because of how broken their family dynamics are. And we have other friends who their parents are very healthy. Their relationship with their parents is very healthy, and their parents can really speak into that. So it's going to look different for different people. But you do need some people who are older and wiser, I think, who can speak into it. But even if you do have your parents as one of them, I would still get someone outside your family, just because every family has its areas of brokenness. You explained this really well the other day on our video.
I don't know if I'm going to remember it. Yeah, but basically, you grow up thinking whatever your family does is normal. Whatever it does, even if it's extremely dysfunctional, it seems normal to you. And so unless you have friends outside the family, you're not going to start to realize, the fact that we, don't talk about conflict but pretend it isn't there.
Right. That's not normal.
Yeah, it's not normal.
Yeah,
you shouldn't do that.
So you should have a variety, like, some people outside your family as well. But if you have a healthy relationship with your parents, then I think that's awesome to get their input. Definitely get someone's input who's older and wiser and who has your best interest in mind.
Oh, okay.
For some reason it keeps scrolling all the way down.
Yeah. Well, I think it tells us what's new.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Oh, someone who's thinking about making a decision to wait until they're engaged to kiss.
My Christian friends say it's a bad idea. How to respond to them in love. I think that's such a personal decision.
Yeah, it really is.
And you know what your conviction is, like, go with that. And if, with any decision you make, there will be people who understand and people who don't. And I think it can be helpful to kind of hear, like, well, can I ask, like, what your concerns are, your thoughts are, and you can learn and grow from that. But at the end of the day, it's your decision. You're the only one who gets to make it. And, it's tough when people don't understand, though, because I definitely struggle with, like, wanting to defend myself and my decisions, even with parenting. It's like, well, this parent feeds their child this way or whatever, and you want to, like, defend the reason you've chosen your way, and you're always going to be trying to defend yourself if you live that way. That's what I've found. And so I have to kind of learn to be okay with people not always understanding, and that's a hard place to be.
True.
It's hard.
Someone asked, how do I deal with a non-Christian crush? I personally would say just wait. I mean, the nature of crushes is they're so real for like 2 months, and then you're like,
sometimes longer.
That person.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think it's not a sin to have a crush on someone who's not Christian. So
crushes are crushes.
Yeah,
they just
roll with it.
And I have a video. If you're, like, feeling stuck on a crush and you're like, as a guy that you really don't want to date and you want to move on from, I have a video about how to get over your crush. It's called How to Get Over a Crush. And it helps a little bit, but hopefully helps a little bit.
Okay. All right. Someone who's asking help being rejected. That's
Oh,
also
yeah.
tough. I would also
hate
say just
rejection.
wait. It's
Yeah.
well, wait is the wrong word. I think maybe be patient is what I was going for.
Like, give it time.
Yeah.
Time is so healing, but it's so hard. Rejection is so hard. I think one of the things for me was to realize that, how do I say this? That it wasn't because there was something wrong with me. It wasn't because I wasn't worth dating. I think sometimes I took it so personally, like this one specific person who I really want to like me, they don't like me. And so there's something wrong with me. But different people are drawn to different things. And even as simple as like what a person looks like one of my friends like really liked guys with blonde hair. And I never thought guys with blonde hair were attractive at all. And like, it just was a personal preference. And so just because a guy had blonde hair didn't mean there's something wrong with him. I just wasn't interested. And I think the same is true in reverse. Like just different people are drawn to different personality traits, different, you're just going to click with some people and not with others. So don't take it as something's wrong with you. Take it as this person just isn't the right fit. Does that make sense? Hope it's not too rambling.
Yeah, no, I think so.
I don't get what you're saying.
To be honest, I was reading the comments. I'm trying to. So Jacob asked, I don't totally understand the question. James, do you consider an idealist or a realist over time as this change from learning your difference? I don't, Jacob, I don't totally know what you're asking. So maybe re-ask that and we'll try to come back to that.
Okay.
How do you turn back to Jesus when you have been distant?
I actually have a video on that. It's called How to Get Back to God When It's Been a While. And I think the biggest thing in there is to realize that he is so excited to have you back, as weird as that sounds. Like, that he's not up there like, get your act cleaned up first. Yeah. Like, come on, get it together. He's just like, just come right now, just as you are.
Come
Doesn't
as
even
you
matter.
are. Come as you are. If you realize, if you're thinking, well, this is wrong in my life or this is wrong in my life, God will deal with those things in his time. But he's the one who died for you. He's the one who bought you. So it's up to him as to when and how he's going to take care of those things. But the biggest thing to know is God loves you and he is excited for you to be a part of his family.
Yeah. Good. Oh, sorry.
In a relationship, how far would you condition or consider to be too far? I think a big thing, especially if you're someone who has a relationship with Jesus, ask Jesus. Like, it's so interesting to me when Jesus met a woman who was caught in the act of adultery, whatever that means. His advice to her was go and sin no more. So if you think, I'm concerned that I'm going too far, that might be your conscience telling you, you might be going too far. And I think seeking the advice of someone who's a mentor would be really good, because once you're able to talk about what it is that you and your boyfriend, I assume, are or not doing, sometimes even just talking about that out loud, oh, it is okay if we hold hands, or, X, Y, or Z is not okay.
And this will look a little different for different people.
Yes.
We have a video about this called How Far is Too Far. And I'll
take a turn with squirmy.
Okay. I think that can be helpful. Just one of the things we did that we were really glad we did was we actually talked with different couples and said, what were your boundaries and what do you wish they were? And that was just helpful to get a perspective from people who were married and what they'd done before. Some things that we heard that were really helpful to us were some people said we didn't take each other's clothes off. We didn't touch each other where undergarments went. We didn't sleep in the same bed together before we got married. And those were some things that we adopted in our lives. And so it's going to look different for different people. Like we heard from one of you girls who said, I don't want to kiss before I'm engaged. And so it will look different for different people, but be sensitive to what's in your heart and to wise advice from others you trust. Yeah. Okay.
All right. What do you do when you have no clue how to act around a guy that you like? You just want to ignore him so he will leave you alone. I know. Isn't that so funny though? Yeah. You're like, I like this guy. I want his attention. So I'm going to pretend to ignore him so he goes away because I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone does that.
Yeah. Story of my life.
Yeah. Try to give it a try. I think it's a lot of fun to ask friends, what should I do? What should I say? How should I act?
So many opinions.
I think it's kind of fun. It's part of the it really is part of the process. You have to figure out what it means for you though. So there's no like cookie cutter answer. But I think talking is good. Words. I would recommend words.
Would you
recommend words too, baby? Yes, you would.
I'll have to think about that one. That'd be a good one to do a video on, but I don't have anything off the top of my head because I struggled with that so much. And honestly, with James, the reason I didn't feel that way is because this is so weird. But before I met James, I started praying that I would not be able to tell if my future husband, that sounds so weird. I would not be able to tell if the person, my future husband was cute or not, because anytime a guy was cute, I could not be myself and I was so awkward. So when I met James, I had literally no idea if he was cute or not. And I remember like stalking him on Facebook, trying to figure out if I thought he was cute, and I had no idea. So that's how it worked for me. Oh, it's so weird. I'm sorry. Okay. How to stay focused when other believers are trying to tell you otherwise about what scripture says. Do you mean like when different people like believe differently on like issues in scripture, maybe? I'm guessing that's what that means.
Yeah. I don't totally know. Tell us more about your specific situation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Kira, thank you. That's so sweet.
So Evelyn asks, you need to be whole to be in a relationship. I guess I don't know that that's true. I think we're all always broken. You know, that's part of the nature of knowing God, is we know we're broken and we know that God is the one who is slowly making us whole. So I guess I don't really.
I think there's a lot of emphasis on like having yourself together before you get in a relationship, and it is helpful to like have some things figured out, or not figured out, but like to be working through your brokenness already. That is helpful, just because the nature of relationships is that it manifests your brokenness more as you get into intimate relationships. But I don't think there's like a certain level of wholeness that you have to be first. We have a video that's like how to prepare for marriage, and it kind of talks more about things that are helpful to work on beforehand. But really, like when I married James, all of a sudden all this stuff came out in my heart, all these issues that I didn't realize were still issues in my life. And I started going to counseling for them. And it was so helpful, and it helped our marriage so much. But like all that to say, I was not whole, and I'm still not whole, I guess you could say. I'm a work in progress, as we all are. Yeah. So I think maybe that can set you free a little bit. I think we have this, it can keep us in bondage a little bit in our minds of like what we have to do to get our ducks in a row to be married. And I just don't think that's always true.
Yeah. So Hadassah, you're welcome for answering. So Monica asked, should I get away from a friend if I like him and he's not so interested? I would say that's up to you. Yeah. If it hurts to be around him, then
maybe take a little separation.
I think it's a little bit of space could be good.
Or even just on social media, like not following him or as much or something like that. If you,
Wendy asks, how can I tell if a guy likes me more than a friend?
Oh, it's so hard to tell.
Oh man, if we knew the answer to that.
I do have a video about why guys flirt, which might help a little bit. But there's no way to totally know unless if he tells you, because different guys will express that in different ways, and flirting doesn't always mean that a guy wants to like be with you. It can mean all different things.
I guess I would say this. If a guy is taking initiative either to speak with you or spend time with you, he likes you a little bit more than he would than normal.
Or he likes you as a really good friend. You don't really know which one.
Yeah. But if at all possible, don't get your hopes up until he says, will you be my girlfriend? Or I like you.
That also ties into
younger guys, especially as in under 25, terrible with mixed messages.
That can be helpful too. That's a great question. What do I do if I have extremely high expectations for my boyfriend and get very upset when he doesn't measure up to the standard, but I don't even measure up to my own? Ooh, Jada, that's a great question.
I appreciate the vulnerability. That's awesome. I mean, I think you're starting to answer your own question, as in you say, well, I have these high standards, but I'm not meeting them, and my boyfriend isn't meeting them either. I think that it's important to talk about them in a non-confrontational way, because some of your expectations might be good, like your boyfriend knows how to handle money. That's a really important expectation. Some of them might not be as important as you talk about it.
Sure.
And some of them might be something you have to work through. One of my really good friends is about to get married, and he's a horrible slob. I love him to death.
So messy.
He's so messy.
Or like James is like warning his wife, like,
Oh, she knows. His fiance knows, but but he wants to change, but it's going to take a while. He's been kind of sloppy for a good portion of his life. So, yeah, it takes time. Jennifer asked how to make a prayer part of your routine.
Wait. One more thing about that, Jada's question is it can be helpful to talk not just with your boyfriend, but with like friends or mentors and just kind of see what's important and what's not.
Yeah, get some feedback on those expectations.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Oh, so Jennifer asked how to make prayer part of your routine when it's hard to want to take time to pray. That's good. You're at step 1, which is that you realize I don't really want to pray. You're being honest with yourself and you're being honest with God, and that you're not a holy person. None of us are. And so I think coming to God and saying, God, I really want to spend time with you. Will you help me? Just will you help me?
Yeah.
Tiffany's dad says that the shortest prayer you can say is help. Sometimes that's a great prayer to be saying.
And I think too, prayer is like exercise in that some days you want to do it and some days you don't. But when you do it, even when you're not feeling that way, it builds up over time and you get stronger and stronger and healthier. And I think like our walk with God is like that. It's not like one little moment doesn't always change our lives, but like the build up of a whole bunch of little moments spent with God is what has this long-term effect on us. So yeah, if that makes sense. You're reading the comments.
Yes, I am. Oh, so Lauren, do you remember we had the question about parental involvement?
Oh, yeah.
So Lauren's asking similar question. She has 22, had a come to Jesus moment. I love that phrase. With their parents due to their lack of support and their rules for when we can get engaged. I mean, I guess I don't know a lot about your situation.
Yeah, it so depends on your situation. Yeah. And like, I think it's awesome that you're talking about it with them. That's huge to like really have a conversation, say, so what are your concerns? Like, where are these coming from? But I think having someone else that you know and trust who can kind of speak into that will be really helpful. Yeah, so you can say like, is this reasonable? Because the thing is like, we have friends who their parents were just not healthy and were very unreasonable. And
these are sometimes people who are Christians attending church.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And so, but we have and so they had to kind of find other people who could be that person to speak into their relationship. But we have other friends who just were in a really bad relationship and didn't want to hear what their parents had to say. So there's like the two sides of it. So it so depends on the situation. So yeah, have some people you can kind of run that by and get their feedback. Like, is this?
Yeah.
Are these
the book of
real?
Proverbs, that's really good, sweetie. The book of Proverbs says, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Meaning that if your relationship is not really a good relationship, you're probably going to be the last person to realize that. So if you're getting feedback from lots of people and they're all saying, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Then maybe you can open your eyes. But if your parents are some of the only people that have negative things to say, then it might be that your parents just haven't fully thought through their role or are taking an unreasonable role.
Right, which does happen.
And because it's important for your parents. If you're 16, your parents should be really involved. You know, especially once you're post-college. Not as much. I mean,
if it's a healthy relationship, I mean, I think they should be involved. But yeah, it's just I feel like it's a hard thing to explain.
Yeah.
It depends on how healthy the relationship is. Yeah.
We have so many comments. Oh my goodness.
So many amazing questions.
Guys, these are so good.
These are so good.
A big hug from Sweden.
Oh, yay.
That's
Hi,
so funny.
Natalie.
I wanted to answer this one.
Okay.
Rebecca asked, my boyfriend just told me he loves me, but I'd never been in love with a guy before, and I don't know how I should feel before I say it. How do you know when it goes from like really like to love?
Oh, yeah. What did we used to say to each other? Didn't we have like a weird word because before we said I love you? I can't remember what it was.
Maybe we did.
We were so weird.
I don't know.
I think
I think it's important to acknowledge like, oh, thank you. So he doesn't think, oh no, I've blown our relationship. I think eventually you get to a point where you're like, I just really want to tell this person I love them. But it's okay to not be rushed into that. And I remember thinking it being a really big deal for me. Like, I'm not going to say I love you till I'm with the person I'm going to marry. And I don't know where I got that idea.
I think for some people, though, that's like really important. And for some people, it's not.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, I mean, I think you can love somebody, even if it's not somebody you end up being with forever. Like love there are different kinds of love,
That's
you know?
True.
And so.
And God gives us really love for everybody. It's just different kinds of love.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good question. I don't know if there's a real like clear answer.
Okay.
Lila, wow, it's really fun hanging out with you guys. Yay! I'm so happy. I'm so happy you guys are all here. Okay. Oh, we've got like 5 or so
okay.
minutes left. Which ones should we?
Oh, okay.
There's so many good questions.
Oh, all right. So someone asked, if God shows you who your husband is, do I have to choose that person? Because I'm waiting for God's timing as to when this man will pursue me, but it's hard. Well, if that's what God has shown you, then I think that it's important to wait. But
I think it's also very easy to think God has shown you something that maybe he hasn't, especially in the area of love.
true.
That has happened to me several times. I have a video called Will God Tell Me That My Boyfriend's the One? And this talks more about that. But I felt like God showed me 3 different guys were my husband. None of them were James. And then I realized I was way off on those. But it's just easy because our emotions can mimic the way we hear God's voice. And so it's easy to think you're hearing something even if you're not. And maybe you are, maybe you're not. But I think if you check out that video. Will God tell me if my boyfriend's the one? I think that'll help.
Okay. Yeah, I hope so. All right. So Lily asks, what are your thoughts on young couples building their career, studying, living for God, juggling everything, but also making the relationship work?
Yeah.
It's definitely,
that's a lot of work. Yeah. And that's just the case for some people, depending on when you meet the person you want to marry. Like, you might still be in college. We have friends who were in college, had friends who were, my sister and her husband just got married. My sister was is still finishing her fellowship. She's a doctor. And so she's still doing that. And it's just when you meet, will look different for different people. I think just really prioritizing time spent together is the biggest thing I would say. And just that will look different for different people in different seasons of life. But whatever time you can, prioritize that time to spend together to really get to know each other and build intimacy.
Even if you're not actively doing something. I was working at a coffee shop in Michigan, and there was a husband and wife studying. He was in medical school and she was in seminary, and they weren't talking. They were just, they spent some time talking to me, but they were just studying. They were in each other's presence. And I feel like that's really special.
Yeah.
And just try not to overcommit to things.
Yeah. Try to easy to have healthy boundaries with other parts of life.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, maybe we'll do 2 more questions.
Okay. Someone says, as a high school student, how can I act friendly around guys without seeming flirtatious?
Yeah, I struggled with that. And the thing is, I went to a Christian college, and guys would think I was flirting, and I didn't even know what their name was. Sometimes people just read into stuff, and that goes both ways. Girls read into stuff, guys read into stuff. So there's, to some extent, I don't think you can totally control people's perception to some extent. But there are things you can do to make it less likely to lead someone on. And I think part of those are just being aware of how you treat them. Are you treating them like you treat other guys? Or are you treating them extra special? And if so, they're probably going to assume that you're feeling more for them. What else would you say? But sometimes if you're a friendly person, sometimes it's going to be misread, and there's not always something you can do about that. That's been my experience. And I think James is too in some parts of life. We're just friendly people. And so someone can read into that if they don't know you well and realize that that's just how you are.
Yeah. But I think if you're consistent towards everyone, eventually people will realize, oh, this is the way that so-and-so acts.
Yeah.
So, look. So Araminta wrote back in her previous question. She meant such as waiting until marriage. So waiting to have sex until marriage, or living together specifically. Some people are trying to say that's the way, I think, before marriage.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is God's intent for couples to not have sex before they get married. And typically that involves not living together. Just because
I think a lot of people, choose not, we chose not to live together just because we wanted to save sex until marriage because of the temptation. Yeah.
But if that's either not your conviction or that's not where you are, I would still encourage you, draw close to God, have a relationship with God.
And to community. The thing with community is there's not necessarily just on those issues, but just in general, there's going to be different people in different stages of life and who think different ways. And I think we can grow a lot from that. And that's part of community. Part of community is being with people who think differently than you are and growing from that. And sometimes you'll realize, they're right about that. And sometimes you won't think that, but it's so important to still be in community. I think in our culture, we're so quick, myself included, to run from community, to be like, I don't like this.
Hey,
and
that
I don't
person
like this.
disagreed with me. We're done.
Yeah, and that's just so unhealthy. We have to be in community with people who think differently. And I think that goes both ways on those issues. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's good advice.
So yeah.
So
guys, this has been
thank you for all these
so
good
fun.
questions.
Thank you so much for these questions. I hope that this can help. And yeah, I'm trying to think like if there's anything else. I think we do this every month, first Sunday of every month at 4 p.m. Eastern time for a half hour. So join us next time. Keep bringing these amazing questions, and we love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. So we love you guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there we go.